And don't miss the on-site DJ providing vibrant sounds throughout the weekend. The Powderhorn Art Fair is free to the public with proceeds supporting PPNA community initiatives. Make plans to head to the Powderhorn Art Fair on Saturday and Sunday, August 3rd and 4th from 10 to 5 at Powderhorn Park in Minneapolis. More at powderhornartfair.com.
Hi, I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Chad Larson.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
Your hosts for Searching for Service. Tune in to Rotary's influential show and podcast, sharing touching stories of service locally and abroad.
We bring you weekly guests that connect, inform, and inspire our listeners on all things service.
We highlight diverse service opportunities that appeal to both Rotarians and people driven to serve in their communities.
Tune in Sundays at 3 p.m. or anytime via podcast. It's time
to stop searching
and start serving.
If you're looking to save money on your home or building improvement project, check out Better Futures Minnesota's reuse retail warehouse in South Minneapolis. We carry salvage building materials such as cabinetry, flooring, plumbing fixtures, appliances, lighting, and more, saving you money and saving the planet by keeping these items out of the landfill, by giving them another life. Selections change daily, and we also take donations. Go to betterfuturesminnesota.com and look under Reuse Warehouse to learn more. Let us know AM 950 sent you.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Tom Winston. Today, a chance of showers and a high of 79 degrees. Tonight, clearing and a low of 64. And for tomorrow, chance of showers and thunderstorms and clearing, high near 80 degrees. For over 45 years, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has been helping you find a place for fire that works in your life with a diverse selection of fireplace products. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Old Miss tripped and tipping, she went down that Mississippi. She had to see her old friend that she had not seen in a while. She missed her smile. But finding it hard to say goodbye to a friend that she had to leave behind, she looked for words that just might touch the trouble in a lover's heart. She said, I got to go. Though I love you so, my old friend, she meant so much to me. I've got my traveling to do.
Good morning and welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. And I'm glad you've made the connection and are with us today. I'm Lori Fitz, your host, and the goal of our show is to explore a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us that gets us thinking, gets us talking, gets us exploring, gets us connected, and perhaps inspired or challenged to do just a bit more because we made the connection. So our topic today is on courageous transformation. And hosting with me is Rick Bernardo, and he has brought a guest. Tell us about who you've brought today.
We have brought Alan Claassen, and he is just one more remarkable person with whom I attended graduate school at Pacific School of Religion, and that was a privilege with Alan and many other people. This is all at the Graduate Theological Union in Berkeley. And Alan Claassen has a rich history of many skills and many ways to make a difference in connecting people, and also being part of transformation. So before I go further, Sonoma Allen's S-O-N-O-M, and an A after that for Sonoma. And Alan after that shares the same A at the end of, so it's sonomaallen.wordpress.com is his website. And couragerenewal.org is part of the website where he's a facilitator at the Center for Courage and Renewal. So there's a number of things I'll say about Alan, but I want Alan to say hi first. Hi.
Hi, Alan.
And tell us about that song. That was Miss Tripped and Tippy. But tell us, because that was one of the very first songs I ever heard you do at these coffee houses and many other places when we were in graduate school together.
Good morning, Lori. Good morning, Rick. It's wonderful memory to bring back that first coffee house that we put together at Pacific School of Religion, and we featured the artists within our own campus and our own colleagues. And then that went to a coffee house that I had in the church basement right across from Cal Berkeley. And in particular, you asked about the song, Miss Tripped and Tippy. I wrote that right after Betsy and I were married, and we'd been living together for a couple of years and, just sharing love. And then all of a sudden, wow, we got married. And what does that mean? And it made it a little different and felt a little different. And the imposition of, roles and things were playing upon us. And I wrote Miss Tripped and Tippy as a way of sharing. Rilke has a phrase of protecting each other's solitude, protecting each other's self-identity, and in a relationship, how do we care for ourselves and care for the other at the same time? So the inspiration that a couple can give to each other, both to be comforted and also to be challenged and supported and called into a new being in that relationship.
That sort of give and take that is part of any kind of authentic love. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
And now that I listened to that song again, I was like, yeah, now I remember growing through just hearing that song.
I love the equality part of it
Yeah.
that we talked about earlier too, that this is really about two equals coming together and creating the partnership that you want for each other and the best for each other, but also knowing that means to focus on yourself too.
And we're going to hear the ending of this song as we go conclude this segment of Connections Radio's broadcast. But in between, there's these wonderfully crafted lyrics about how working this out between not only two people, but more than two people, basically, to find peace and harmony. And, and you kind of get, it wasn't easy, but it was happening.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, and part of this, the way the song goes is that acknowledging that the scenario of the story was that my partner, Betsy, wanted to go see somebody else, another person that she loved, a longtime woman friendship. And so she was breaking free, and the realization that in her breaking free allowed me to break free. And so we're maintaining that freedom within our commitment to one another. And there's times for being alone, there's times for being together. And I wish I could say the actual number now of years that we've been together, but it's more than 40.
It's more than 40.
More than 40.
In my case, I'm dating myself too, but somebody has to, right? Well, it's just wonderful to hear that again. And there's who's on the is it saxophone on that?
Thank you for saying that. Noah Peterson in Austin, Texas. We got to share some time together. He's a great saxophone player for all kinds of music, including accompanying folk music.
Well, Rick's told me about a lot of the amazing musicians that you had in that Cal Berkeley basement church. Some pretty incredible folks.
Yeah, and I'm gonna name drop some of them, Alan, and you can add or if I'm lying, remove any of these people from this list. But what I'm gonna read is a string of performance artists and just all around cool people that Alan worked with through either Sounds Amusing coffee house that he started. Then I think that it evolved into the Living Room,
yes,
which is another coffee house. It's an intimate performance space, or working with Bread and Roses, which is a nonprofit organization in the San Francisco Bay Area that takes live performances into institutions that can't get out. Hello. Also, San Francisco's silly, yeah, that was just me. City Celebration, he worked with, and just some of the people involved in all of this: Joan Baez, Mimi Baez Farina, Joan Baez's sister, Joni Mitchell, Robin Williams, Howard Hesseman, Peter, Paul and Mary, Boz Scaggs, Crosby and Nash, Jackson Browne, Ricky Lee Jones, Etta James, Maya Angelou. She held my held my hand for a little while. Paul Winter Consort, George Winston, Will Ackerman, and other Windham Hill Records musicians, Joyce Cooling. It goes on. And I got to say, this is so life-giving to even be exposed at a distance or close up to any of these people through Alan is so formative to me and many, many others. It'll be life-giving to me, I swear, even after I die.
I wish we could replicate that more.
So
I'm going to go for it.
So you all had quite the time in producing these amazing shows. These were non-profit. This was a fundraiser, would you say, or tell me more about it?
You go ahead, Alan. Distinguish.
Well, yeah, need to distinguish between the coffee house and Bread and Roses. Bread and Roses back in those days, late 70s, early 80s, had a festival of music at the Greek Theater in Berkeley. So those names like Jackson Browne and Etta James and Robin Williams, those are Bread and Roses people. And that was a wonderful time for me. I got to meet some of my own heroes working for Bread and Roses, including Mimi herself. In the coffee house that I had, I was really just winging it, moving from what we did at the seminary, PSR, Pacific School of Religion, and then all of a sudden here I am booking musicians, local musicians in Berkeley, which included bands like Golden Bough, which were just a local Celtic band, and they were wonderful to play with. And then at that time, the Windham Hill guitar players, some people may remember, Will Ackerman, Alex DeGrassi, were just getting started. And I brought Alex DeGrassi to the coffee house. And then Will Ackerman, who was the lead executive of that organization, said, you also might want to check out George Winston. His record is doing really well.
Maybe.
So we had George Winston in our little 100-seat basement coffee house where we had to bring a piano down from the second floor of the church.
It's in the basement. It's down the basement. That's all.
Get it tuned, and then I think it was a year later he was playing at Davies Symphony Hall in San Francisco. So that was the heady atmosphere that could be happening when you're just getting started in such a place as Berkeley.
And I remember sitting at that piano, opening for one of those, maybe it was Will Ackerman, I don't know. When I say opening, just sort of introducing, warming up the room. And I didn't know what this was the very beginning of me doing any performance work. And I would sit at the piano, and I didn't want to play too much, but I'd tell a story because I was high school teaching, which was almost killing me at that point. And it was such a relief. I was just goofy, which is just being me. And people after that would say, where else are you doing your comedy? And I was like, uh-oh. I should try that, like on purpose, Right. That talk about formative. That was the beginning of so much more, just for me, even in that setting.
Well, I know that you have set up the outro for our Miss Tripped and Tippy, and we're going to go into that in just a moment. But I'd love to have it if there's some other comments that you want to make on that song, either you or Rick, as we're moving into the outro.
I can say this is just going to be the ending of the song after, and Alan already talked about the transformational work of keeping everybody's identity safe and inside of love. But go ahead, Alan. We just got about a minute of that to go here.
Yeah, well, that's beautiful what you just said. And I think that was one of my joys as a musician myself, but also creating a stage for other musicians. So there's a backstage part of me that loves putting people out connected. As your theme for your show is connecting with audiences, and who gets to be in that place of getting to share their music.
Well, we're going to go to that song soon, but go ahead.
I just wanted to give a little brief intro for the next segment. You'll be hearing Let Yourself Be Carried when you come into our show the next segment. And we'll be hearing more about some other work that our friend Alan is doing with Transformation.
I'm going to show a picture of Alan and I as we go and we start that song.
All right.
For me, we'll hold Miss Tripped and Tipping She went down that Mississippi, and she got to see her old friend that she had not seen for a while, and she made her smile. Old stories told and some made new, some forgotten while others grew. They tried to find a way to say the strength that friends can give as long as they live. As long as they live.
Hi, I'm Mary T, inviting you to experience our integrative Mary T Health and Wellness Center, offering physical, occupational, speech, and lymphedema therapies. Experience our guided imagery, meditation, Tibetan medicine, dry needling, massage services, including cupping and oncology massage. Sign up for our free wellness screenings and learn more at marytwellness.com. All major health insurance providers are accepted. Come for therapy, experience wellness.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950, here to tell you about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If your home was hit with the most recent storms, trust the most well-reviewed exterior construction company, Snap Construction, for a free home inspection.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. There are a lot of great construction companies in town. My advice is to take your time and do your research. Make sure they are locally owned and that they guarantee their craftsmanship for life. Also, you want to find a company that's been in business for at least 10 years. You want to work with a company that's going to be there long after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims, and we'll help you through the process.
Don't go with the out-of-town fly-by-night contractor. Most storm damage goes missed by the untrained eye. Trust Snap Construction for your free storm damage evaluation. For your free storm damage evaluation, call Snap Construction at 612-333-SNAP or visit them online at snapconstruction.com. That's 612-333-SNAP or snapconstruction.com.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Did you know Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken airs 5 nights a week at 10 p.m.? That's 5 nights of talking about ghosts, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. We're talking about the paranormal every Monday through Friday with some of the most trusted names in the field. Join us and step into the unknown with Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken, Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Only if you dare.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. And we'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
Step into a world of financial empowerment with the Do Different Better show. I'll be your host, Elaine Rasmussen. Join me Sundays at noon on AM 950 as we do a deep dive into wealth education with topics like investing, real estate, and entrepreneurship. No nonsense, tell like it is, keeping it 100 for everyday people like you. Tune in to get practical insights to rewrite your financial future. So each Sunday at noon, let's do different better. You can hear Do Different Better anytime on your favorite app. Learn more about me at socialimpactnow.com.
River falls from a hole in the ground. Carves a valley on its way down. somehow knows that it's ocean bound. I wonder what becomes of me. Find a well where the water's drawn, deeper down where the wish has gone. To pull it up, well, you've gotta be strong. I wonder what becomes of you. Let yourself be carried. Let yourself be carried. Just as you have carried others too. Let yourself be.
Good morning. I'm Lori Fitz, and welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. And I am glad you have made the connection. Joining with me today is Rick Bernardo, who's hosting the show with a guest that he has brought. Share with us who you brought today.
That guest is Alan Claassen, with whom I went to graduate school in Berkeley long ago. He's a pastor where he served any number of churches. And as a musician, he shared far and wide this gift that is prayer with wings. That was Let Yourself Be Carried, a song he was just doing there, we heard. As an event producer, he's worked with a remarkable range of amazing performers we touched on in the first segment of the program. And as a counselor and facilitator, he's influenced and provided space for inspired work by many, many others in turn. Alan, good morning.
Good morning.
Alan, I went to your website and I loved your opening on your website. On February 10th, 2022, I celebrated my 70th birthday, or as two friends would say, I reached level 7. Something about 70 rings in a little differently than earlier decades. With that reverberation, moved you to gather songs and sermons that you've written over the years. Tell me about that process.
Oh, it was just actually, I got to work with my son, who's working on being a media person, and just selected songs that I've recorded over the years, and then sermons that I've written, and it was just a sampling, a way to share, the variety of my work that's just happened along the way.
And you're also active with the Center for Courage and Renewal. And what I have in here, when I looked up that website, it exists to nurture deep integrity and relational trust, building the foundation for a more loving, equitable, and healthy world. That's exciting.
I was, a dear friend of mine in the Bay Area introduced me to Parker Palmer, who was the founder of that organization. And then the retreats, the whole process of organizing retreats came out of his work of many years, but a particular book was called The Courage to Teach. And what it identified was that many people come into the education profession with big hearts, and then the institution of the education can squelch, can minimize, can exhaust the souls of teachers. And so they need to be renewed, and they need to reconnect with their authentic self in order to be what they're called to be as educators on all levels, from elementary to graduate school. And there's a part of that work that Parker Palmer is a Quaker, and he's also a poet and a lover of poetry. And so what he did was he took some Quaker principles, one of which is called a clearness committee, where a person has a group of people sit with them and a person shares a struggle they're going through. And without giving any advice, the people are there as listeners, and they give silence to the person, and they also give open, honest questions, which help that person in the process we call accessing our inner teacher. And our inner teacher is the one who has some advice for us when we open ourselves to it, which helps us connect with ourself, and then that helps us connect with others in our professions, in any aspect of our life that we're entering into.
Wow. And the website for the Center for Courage and Renewal is couragerenewal.org. If people want to go there, there's a lot of resources and a wonderful little picture of Alan there. And Alan, Parker Palmer, I taught at St. Mary's University for many years, and we used a lot of his works and a couple of his books in organizational leadership courses, graduate courses.
Yes, and one of the things that's brilliant about Parker's work, and it comes out of his own history when he was in Berkeley at the time, late 70s, early 70s, the encounter movement was strong, and the encounter movement was a place where you were meant to bare your souls. You have
painfully so.
You have to break down in front of other people, and he said, well, this is insane.
Yes.
But what he did was he brought this Quaker practice, which relies heavily on silence, but he charged that silence with poetry and art and music and dance and photography. So we reflect upon that art form, whatever it is, that poetry, as a way of creating a safe angle for us to talk about ourselves by talking about the art object in the center of the circle. So it's a wonderful, very brilliant connection that Parker made between silence and what can come out of silence, which is the creative voice speaking a deeper truth to us, which often even surprised the artist who was responsible for that artwork.
Wow.
Well, I love that you're working, as you said, with educators and medical people and in the medical profession, and then nonprofits. I mean, I know I most of my life has been dedicated to working in nonprofits, and you do get depleted. And you give so much, and then you give more because you believe in it so much that you can lose your North Star. You can lose your navigation tool, and it you need a time to renew, you need a time to reconnect, you need a time to remember who you are and why you're doing what you're doing.
Well said. Yeah. And if people want to check it out further on the webpage, there's lots of online retreats now, but Courage and Renewal is now global. So you can look around the United States, Canada, Great Britain, Australia, South Korea, everywhere. And I encourage people to check that out.
As I was looking at it, I found some just amazing classes. I love that you're doing a lot of good BIPOC classes, and you're, as you said, all over the world. There's one retreat. I want to make sure I say that right. Got a retreat coming up in July that's right here in Wisconsin. That looks amazing as well. The one that's in Wisconsin, and I'm sure right now it's filled up, but it's Courage and Renewal Practicum. And it's an on-site that brings people together to look at transformation, not only of yourself, but communities and institutions. Got cultivating clarity, looking at courage, changeability in the midst of, challenging times. And that's dedicated to the BIPOC communities. Finding courage in the company that we keep. Practicing courage in a time of polarization. Can you just have that streamed into everybody's home?
Yeah. Could you do that?
Yeah. Well, I just want to go back actually to the first segment of our program. That for me, in my own life story, Joan Baez was really influential in my life. When I was in high school, I was in a bookstore and I pulled down a Joan Baez book. I thought it was going to be about music, and it was called Daybreak. And it was actually about her life and where I was first introduced in writing to Mimi Farina. But I was also introduced to nonviolence. And that's so important to Parker Palmer and his life. And so this whole stream of Courage and Renewal is about social activism at its root, and how can we once again connect with our most authentic self, which helps us bring peace into the world because we have some sense of peace and identity within ourselves that once again, like I said in the first segment, embraces both the dark and the light, the paradoxes of our life, and we embrace them without anxiety and without tension. We can actually find ways to break through into a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world that we're living in. That's a need. I love. This is funny. The SNAP construction, one of the ads we just had in the break.
Yeah.
You know, the not recognized storm damage that we have around us. I thought, boy, we could use SNAP construction for a lot of things.
That's a great image.
I also love how you've talked about the heart opening. Tell me about that and how we look at our heart openings to allow us to connect.
Yeah, well, Parker's got a great phrase where our hearts can be broken, and in the sense of broken glass or shards of pottery all around us, or our hearts can be broken open. And in the breaking open, we come to a deeper understanding of ourselves and compassion for others. And so it's actually can be a place, especially held in community with other like-minded souls. We can find a way to get up and do what needs to be done,
and let ourselves be carried.
And let ourselves be carried. Yes.
Tell me about that song. I love it.
Oh, it's fun in terms of the artistic process. I was just, as guitar players, piano players, musicians, we have this phrase called noodling. We're just, enjoying the sounds of our instrument. And I was playing these two chords back and forth, and just let yourself be carried just came to me as a phrase. And then let yourself be carried just as you have carried others too, acknowledges the times that we are strong, and then the times that we're weak, and we're both in our lifetime. And then over time, I just used the image of water in different scenarios, from the top of the mountain, down the mountain into wells, into streams, into marshlands, all these metaphors for different stages of our life, these different stages of how water travels. And once again, that letting ourselves be carried accesses a different source of strength for us, which is very, has very spiritual components to it.
And it also, I think of the water as our life. I mean, that is our essence. That is as we become part of the marsh and of part of the sea and part of the river. And so how hard is it really to flow? Let us flow with that, Carrie, and see where we go. I think very often we try and take control and we try to navigate. We want to create solutions. Maybe instead of creating solutions, we look at progress. We look at how we're being carried and where we're being carried to.
And it does take courage for all of that, to face what's real and what's not real. That's the starting point. And we've got a little more of that song we're going to play, the chorus, let ourselves
and
be carried, but you go ahead.
I'm delighted that we're going to hear the rest of it, or more of it. It's a beautiful song. But I also want to let the audience know we're going to hear another song when we hit the third segment, which is also just a great joy, Dégagé. And we'll talk about dégagé and what that means. And as we look to the difficult times that we're facing, we do have dégagé.
And here is that song, but go to sonomealan.wordpress.com for more about Alan. So we're going to hear just a little bit more of that. Let yourself be carried. All right.
Desert blooms where the water's gone. Life has a way of living on. Each one finds somewhere to belong. I wonder what becomes of me. Let yourself be carried. Let yourself be carried. Just as you have carried others too. Let yourself be carried. Let yourself be carried.
Summer is going fast, but Next Chapter Booksellers has everything you need to keep up with your summer reading. From the hottest new titles to timeless classics, Next Chapter Booksellers has something for any taste. Their friendly staff are great at making recommendations for the perfect summer read for you or your loved ones. Plus, Next Chapter Booksellers has a wide variety of puzzles and games for those rainy days. So keep up with your summer reading at Next Chapter Booksellers off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Whether you rent or own a home, we all likely have nightmare stories about home maintenance, or what I like to call home cringe moments. Join me, your host, Katie Shahan, for the Yarlow Home Cringe Show. See what home cringe-worthy stories we have for you each week as we talk with local home service pros. Learn best practices for winterizing your home or what to look for after a hailstorm. Listen to the Yarlow Home Cringe Show every Sunday at 2 p.m. or on your favorite podcast app.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is having its annual store-wide sale. For the entire month of July, all of our indoor and outdoor fireplace products and accessories are at their lowest price of the year. At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display, explain, and install the Twin Cities' most diverse selection of indoor and outdoor stoves and fireplaces, including metal and masonry pizza ovens.
While shopping for a fireplace insert at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, I was amazed at all the choices. Not just gas, electric, or wood burning, but also built-in or freestanding, and options in every style from antique to modern. The staff listened to us, explained the options, and helped us choose a fireplace we love. Now it warms our hearts and our home every winter. Thank you, Woodland Stoves, for a great addition.
Come see us. We have over 35 working displays in our store, which is just off I-94 at the corner of Riverside and East Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, since 1977, out of the ordinary products and services to make fire work for you.
At Better Futures Minnesota, we support Minnesota's environment by working towards zero waste and the transformation of the lives of men in our workforce development model. Better Futures Minnesota engages men with histories of incarceration and homelessness. Our approach reaffirms each man's dignity, instilling self-discipline and behaviors that empower them to achieve self-sufficiency and a better future. We set hard-to-employ men on a pathway to independence through employment in our reuse retail warehouse and work crews specializing in building deconstruction, property maintenance, appliance recycling, and janitorial services. We strive to create a sustainable future where social equity, economic opportunity, and environmental justice intersect. By addressing these interconnected challenges, Better Futures Minnesota works towards building resilient, healthy communities for all Minnesotans. We believe that true sustainability can only be achieved when all members of our community can thrive. Join us in making a difference. Visit us at betterfuturesminnesota.com and donate today.
Tune in this Saturday morning right here on AM 950 for the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show from 7 to 8 a.m. We'll be discussing seed saving this fall, as well as post-pandemic gardening numbers. Where are they at? And our guest is author Kama Wong will be with us, and we'll answer your garden questions. That's all this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950. Tell a friend and let's grow together.
This is Andy Otto, your host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified, inviting you to join us this Saturday at 3 p.m. as we're joined by an amazing team from Telling Queer History. We'll talk about how they continue to elevate and inspire the conversation around LGBTQ lives and issues through storytelling sessions and community gatherings. They have a lot going on, and we'll talk about it this Saturday at 3 p.m. right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Tom Winston. Today, a chance of showers and a high of 79 degrees. Tonight, clearing at a low of 64. And for tomorrow, chance of showers and thunderstorms, then clearing, high near 80 degrees. Gruner Supper Club is an exciting mix of shows all year long. It's open Wednesday through Sundays, beginning at 4:30 for cocktails and light fare. Gruner Supper, a little piece of old school nightlife in the 21st century.
Dégagez, dégagez. Dégagez, dégagez. Somehow we will find a way where So we pray, dégagez, 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 dégagez. Somehow we will find where there's no way.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. And I am glad that you have made the connection. We've been having a wonderful conversation with the guest of Rick Bernardo, who is my co-host. And I will let you do the introductions, my friend.
We still have Alan Claassen with us. Go to his website, Sonom Alan, SONOM, and then Alan, ALAN, and it's .wordpress.com. And also he works with the Center for Courage and Renewal. That's couragerenewal.org. And Alan and I went to graduate school. I brought with us, I brought with me to the studio today 2 photos. One of us, Alan and I, sitting at the grand piano at Pacific School of Religion, jamming, and the other is like about 1 million people in this photo for Bread and Roses, and formative experiences for all of us. And we're talking about what the heck has been happening for the recent 40 years or so with Alan. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning.
Yeah, I love the Dégagé song. And I
Yeah.
shared with that before with you. I just think it's wonderful. And you have put on your website, when you describe the song, it's a Haitian Creole song, which means we'll make it work, which is important as we're in very turbulent times. There are times when it just doesn't seem like there's a way to make it all work. I love having a word like dégagé to help me imagine that we can make it work. Tell me about it and why you wrote this song and what it means to you.
Well, it was given to me by a colleague in Courage and Renewal, Catherine McKelvin, who currently now is the executive director for the Center for Courage and Renewal. At that time, we were both in the facilitator preparation program. And we were coming down the mountain, Rocky Mountains, from a retreat, and she was giving me a lift and to the airport, and she told me about she and her husband adopting a young boy from Haiti, and this was not too long after the earthquake. This was 12 years ago, one of the many earthquakes that hits Haiti, and she told me that word, and dégagé means several things, but one is we'll find a way where there's no way, and how the Haitian people live into that phrase is because they actually have a deep spiritual faith and trust and courage that that the Holy One is abundantly on our side. And so even though it looks like we have so little, and the Haitian people have so little, but they also have this faith, this trust that allows them to see that there's other ways to get around this particular problem. And because of that faith, they can go around normal expectations of how you would solve things. And so they found other ways. And it's so it's just inspiring. The sound of the word is wonderful. The meaning of the word is wonderful. It's just so fun to sing dégagé, and then out of this, the heartbreak of the island is real, but also the faith is also real. And even though the struggles are in Haiti are so horrifying right now, I still take a gift from that word that there still is faith there, and eventually there will be healing and wholeness in Haiti and so many other places in our world that need healing right now.
As we look at our divided world, that seems not just in our states but all over, my hope is that we're going through a great healing and that we are having things come to the surface so that we can have heart openings. What is your feeling about the divisions that are occurring that seem almost insurmountable in ways that we look at the world? Uh, and how do we keep our dégagé? How do we keep our North Star?
Boy, that's a huge question.
Yeah.
It seems right now that there is heartbreak in the world and in our nation, and I'm afraid that people have been. You can fool some of the people some of the time. We're the struggle seems so insurmountable that people are going backwards into what seemed like the good old days,
Mm-hmm.
different time period, and we grew out of those days. But some people, from all sorts of economic forces that are happening in the world and environmental forces, they're not. They're looking for safer solutions, which are so non-productive, honoring of Earth and humanity.
Damaging.
Yes, storm damage. Yeah.
Again, once again,
Yeah, more storm damage.
and perhaps there's, to deal with fear, there's a sense of safety in the past. Unfortunately, I don't think it's a safety that was real,
Right.
or
Yeah.
that past was real.
Right.
And if it was, it certainly wasn't safe for everybody.
Right.
So, but there is a desperateness to it in like a search for something that makes us not feel ungrounded. There's a grounding, but I look at the grounding and go, yeah, you got some grounding, but you're going to jump in a pond, and that's not going to be good when you have electric pond there.
And that's where the authenticity part of your work, Alan, and any kind of transformational work has to deal with what's real, not what's pretend.
Right.
There was a poem that I found by John Rodel, who I thought expressed a lot of the work that you're doing in terms of the Quaker roots and getting people to share and be connected. I'm just going to share part of it because I think it speaks to what you're doing. It starts as vulnerability doesn't mean telling others what happened to us from across the cafe table or behind a microphone, and then going home from the experience feeling just as alone as you did before. Vulnerability means allowing your human heart blanket to get sewn together with another heart blanket. It's about connection. We don't share for status. We do it for synergy. We don't confess for clout. We do it to build community. We tell our tale to invite others to tell others and to tell theirs. It's a sacred cycle. It's storytelling. We gather in a circle of trust and say, here is my journey. Then we listen to the other's journey that are shared. We take space. We give space. We pour, then we absorb. We speak, and then we listen. We are storytellers, and then we are witnesses. And that to me is so reflected the work that you do in patching together great big quilts of your patch, my patch, our story.
I love that, Lori, and it reminds me of a quote from the poet and essayist and novelist Wendell Berry. He was interviewed by Bill Moyers once, and Bill Moyers asked, "What gives you hope?" And Wendell Berry said, "I keep good company." So I keep company with those who embrace the tensions, who acknowledge when we fall away from our own truest self, and can find a way in good company to come back to ourselves as individuals and as community.
And that reminds me, Ellen, when you were talking about your work and the retreats and the spaces that can be created to, face hard questions. When we're stuck, there's generally something we kind of don't want to face, and it's hard. So that takes not only courage, but real transformation happens in some sort of dialogue or community, even if it's a dialogue with nature. But it takes some other environment to help with that, and it's got to be safe. It's got to be full of love, and that's a lot of the work you're providing, not only in the retreats, but that's what music does. That's what a lot of arts do, is provide another language to go places we can't go otherwise.
Yes. It's funny. I love the connection that I heard in what you just said, Rick. It's like what the reality of let yourself be carried. There is some kind of, let me say, holy ground that's always there to nurture us, and our task, our invitation, is to find a way to touch that. And
Holy ground, holy water.
yeah, and the line, one of the lines from the verse of Dégagé is, free of expectations of how things should be done, when others are ready to give up, that's our rising sun.
I love that.
Oh, yeah.
So once again, it's that creative process, embracing tensions, not running from them, not fleeing, not fighting, but facing those tensions with a deep level of trust and good company. Things can arise.
And getting back to, how difficult work is when you dedicate yourself to something bigger. In the nonprofit I do, there are times where I can just hit that anxiety level of like, how is this all going to be pulled together? How are we going to make this happen? And there's deadlines and there's things to do. And someone once told me that when you're at that level of anxiety, is that just go out and take a walk and let the solution come to you. Don't be thinking about what the solution is, because you may be creating barriers and limitations on what a new path could be. And so I do that very regularly. Take my dog out, I gotta walk. And I refuse to just try and think of it in my terms. I just think, okay, what could be a solution? And it's amazing what can come to you when you're open to just looking at it without the force of your solution, but what are possibilities?
I remember Alfred Hitchcock, who's not necessarily the worldwide cosmic model of transformation, but when he was stuck in doing the film, he'd I always say, we're pressing too hard. Let's take a break. So even him, and isn't dégagé a dance term or something too? And what?
Ballet. Yep.
Ballet. Yeah. So there's something about resetting there.
Well, it's a lovely little gesture. I love it. It's a little
gesture.
It's a little flick of your toe, but it's just enough to like reset, I think. Just enough to.
And you've got Betsy, your spouse is a longtime dancer, so she's
right.
Right.
That's some of the good company I keep. I love the word nudging.
Nudge.
To be a nudger.
Yes. Sometimes I'm a nudge, but that's different. Yeah.
Well, my friend, our shows always go way too fast, and we could spend another hour exploring dégagé alone. We could spend an hour talking about that, but we just want to make sure that we thank you and we get the websites out there for folks to do further research on their own.
And we'll have a little more dégagé, sonomeallen.wordpress.com and couragerenewal.org are our websites to go to. Alan Claassen, thanks for being with us. Here's a little more of dégagé.
Thank you both.
Dégagé, dégagé. Somehow we will find a way where there's no way. There's a way. Dégagé, dégagé. Dégagé, dégagé.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch.
We just wanted to say goodbye, Alan, if you're there.
Yes, yeah. Thank
you.
you.
That was wonderful.
Yeah, it was really good. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be a part of this.
Good fun and good conversation. I enjoyed it very much and hope you'll return sometime to tell us about